The voice of sharing, Durian ASEAN.
Hey, this is Arlene, and you are listening to Durian ASEAN, the voice of discovery and sharing. And together with me,
This is Gowri. Good morning and hello everyone. It's a Friday finally.
yay! But I didn't feel like it's Friday.
Yeah, I feel like today is Monday. I don't know why. I feel like the week has just started actually, and like we have 4 more days to go to the weekend. I certainly don't feel like tomorrow is Saturday.
Actually, 2 days ago we had
Mm.
we attended I think a consultation roundtable
Mhm.
forum on religious freedom in ASEAN as well as EU.
Yeah.
So that it was a 2-day event, and I thought it was really interesting. And I guess that's the reason why we didn't feel that it's Friday,
I
the
think
last
so
day.
because there was so much of work to be done and so much of traveling and we're finally done with the event, which was really great. I definitely learned a lot from it,
Hmm.
and I also feel like the week is just starting. And do you know that TGIF also has another meaning, which is "Thank God I'm Fabulous."
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Oh, that's
I actually
super
prefer that
interesting.
one. Yeah, I prefer that one to "Thank God It's Friday."
Yeah, I guess I mean we could do TGIF
Mhm.
in Durian ASEAN as well.
Yeah, we could.
Thank God it's Friday. But for about yesterday,
Mhm.
I was really impressed with the panel speakers and also the topics that was being discussed. Actually, uh, a policy draft is being drafted.
Mhm.
Sorry, a policy document is being drafted by a group of people from the Human Rights Working Group, and they yesterday they were tabling their paper and getting consultation
Mhm.
from the civil society in Malaysia, and I think they got really good inputs from them.
Yeah, I think one of the professor also mentioned that he was really impressed with the entire thing because at the end of the day, he thought that people actually had very practical ideas that could be implied in
Mm-hmm.
the country.
That's true. I mean, although we have to admit that the
Mm.
human rights instruments in ASEAN, particularly in Malaysia as well, is actually pretty weak, in a sense that human rights is not considered as part of uh, uh, the core instruments
Mm-hmm.
in ASEAN. The focus is more on economic and on politics and all that. So I mean, it's definitely a fresh start, but a positive direction towards implementing a human rights mechanism in ASEAN.
And let's move on to our news commentary for this morning. We have a lot of fresh news to present to our listeners
Oh
as
yeah,
always.
definitely. Talking about human rights mechanism, actually, there's a story about the Thai junta, and it is targeting Myanmar migrants, and I thought it's only Malaysia.
Yeah, that's the thing. It seems that, well, we all know that Chiang Mai is a famous destination for thousands of Burmese nationals who are in search of a better life. Apparently, that's where they go. They go to Chiang Mai to look for job opportunities and whatnot. And it is home to nearly 73,000 registered workers from Myanmar, and many of
Wow.
them are from the northeastern Shan state.
Oh, that's interesting. I always thought that there's a lot more Myanmar people in Malaysia, but I guess it is wrong.
Well, I guess it's closer. Chiang Mai is a bit closer to them than Malaysia.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
probably cheaper to
So,
travel.
I mean, as the sun rose over the predominantly Burmese neighborhood at the Aun Ardi, about 100 Thai police actually went house to house, taking away Burmese migrants whom they said did not have proper documentations. Sounds like our Rela group catching all
Wow.
these migrant workers.
And they were also ordered to squat in one line on the streets while the police canvassed the entire neighborhood, and that was a process that went on from morning all the way into
How
afternoon.
do you canvass the entire neighborhood? You literally canvass it.
And apparently they detained 49 people from there, took them away, and around in the evening, about 6 or 7 p.m., all the people came back because they actually had passports and work permits. Said
Mm.
no, who left Myanmar's Shan state 2 months ago to work at a Thai guest house. And he also said that the police had no good reasons for detaining them.
I wonder why they have this obstacle in Thailand.
Actually, this is very scary in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but it kind of reminds me of the Jews back in the Nazi regime, because
Ah.
based on this one book I read, it's pretty much what they did. They went to the neighborhood, they ordered everyone to get out of the house, they confiscated all their jewelry, their possession, and well, we all know that that didn't end well. But I'm glad that the same thing did not happen here. At least the police let them go safely after discovering that they had all the proper documents.
That's true. But at the same time, I think earlier the news about a wave of Cambodian migrant workers fleeing back to their countries. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, to their country, and it shows that I think probably the junta itself is pretty serious in a way to curb migrant workers.
But
But
the thing about
yeah.
that is that they actually came up with this new um, migrant workers service center, and they are trying to lure back the Cambodian workers. So it
Mm-hmm.
seems that it's only the Myanmar people that they have a problem with.
Mm-hmm. That's
And the
interesting.
and the people from Cambodia are actually slowly moving back to Thailand now. Now that they have a proper service center and a proper platform to get their work permits, and also they have nothing to be afraid of anymore.
In fact, one professor, his name is
Mm.
Paul Chambers, he said that he's also a military analyst at Thailand's Chiang Mai University. He said the alleged crackdown is definitely uncalled for and
Mm-hmm.
counterproductive. Economically, especially, migrant workers from Myanmar, Cambodia, and Laos make up the majority or the huge portion of the informal sectors.
I think that, I mean, this also happened at a point where Myanmar is so vulnerable right now. They are trying to go for all these political reformations, and
Mm.
trying to change from the military rule to a more democratic country, especially in the upcoming 2015 elections next year.
Well, Myanmar aside, I think even if we have to focus on Thailand as well. As Paul Chambers said, he also quoted that this is all a symptom of martial law, and the
Mm-hmm.
Burmese, the Shan, the Karen, the Karani, and all are going to feel it because they are perceived by the military as perhaps subversive because of their race. So I guess there's a bit of xenophobia or racism there.
Mm-hmm. And I think, why do you think like the police would just show up and ask everyone to get out from the house and squat in a line, and like what you said, it's also like what happened in Malaysia, where we had this operation where the police can just go up to anybody and demand for their passport, and if you cannot produce it, they put you in jail.
Again, I mean, I feel that the authorities, I don't want to target the police in because
Mm-hmm.
their allegiance is towards the authorities. I think the authorities in general, they have this idealistic view that the street has to be clean, society have to be well organized. So all those people who are considered undesirables, undesirables could be migrant workers, could be
Mm-hmm.
homeless people, could be those who are mentally ill and all that, should be shoo away from being visible in the street.
Mm-hmm.
So they should be seen as the invisible people that should be kept somewhere far hidden. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that's also the reason why they're doing this crackdown in a way that they want to clean the street, this purification of the city or the country itself.
I think it could also be a little bit of xenophobia, like what you mentioned earlier, uh, and also the fact that they're not too comfortable with having probably a growing community of Myanmar people in the country, taking up all these different job opportunities and trying to make a living there. That's a worldwide issue that migrant workers face all over the
And
world.
it's also about I think in a way it's the extreme version of nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way the military junta want to exert some sort of patriotism, nationalism towards their own country. So the way they treat the Thai is to somehow let them know that, hey, this is your country, you deserve it better than other people. So maybe in a way they are trying to create this idea of fear among people who are not part of the Thai society, to sort of get away, you are not part of us.
But don't you think that's contradicting what they're doing with the Cambodian workers? Why are they being so receptive, setting up all these service centers and saying, yeah, you guys are welcome here. We'll, in fact, work everything out for you. We have people to work on your visa, your work permit and all. But at the same time, they're pushing the other race away.
I think what I see, there are two sides of this. One is definitely, like we said earlier, maybe racism towards a certain ethnic groups in Myanmar, like the Karen, the Shans and all that, and the Burma. But at the same time, I think it's also about diplomatic relations. It could be Thai has better diplomatic relations with the Cambodian government compared to with the Myanmar government. And also the history between the two countries is actually long-standing. Since centuries ago, they have been at war with each other between the Burma area and also the Thai area.
That's a very interesting way to put it. Yeah,
I guess
it goes back to the history of the two countries.
The reason I know it because I was in Burma a few years back for a couple of months. So I traveled to Shan State and also to the southern part of Burma, and I realized that the country itself is full of remnants of Thai kingdom, because they were at one point they were conquered by the Thai kingdom, and then another point they conquered the Thai kingdom itself. So it's like back and forth. Anyway, sorry, we talked too much about the story about the Thai junta. I think we should move on to another story, and I guess we should talk about Malaysia.
Yeah, this is actually a very hot issue that's going on in the country right now about this diplomat in New Zealand who tried to sexually assault a woman in New Zealand.
And what happened to him? He fled to Malaysia because of the immunity, isn't it?
Yeah, because of the diplomatic immunity. Actually, he was brought back by the Malaysian government, but then the New Zealand government kept pushing for him to be sent back to New Zealand because they wanted him to be tried under the New Zealand laws because this incident took place there and the woman is New Zealand. I mean, yeah, and they thought it'd be better for them to try him over in New Zealand, that it will be a fairer trial, a just trial. And I think at first the Malaysian government denied the request, but eventually they gave in. And so today they're actually sending him back to New Zealand to be tried under their laws.
Oh, wow. I mean, I think that's a positive move by the Malaysian government. But it's also because of the pressure by the New Zealand people and civil society and the New Zealand government as well. Anyway, a columnist with a New Zealand newspaper has praised Malaysia for having done the right thing in announcing the decision to send back a diplomat to New Zealand to face alleged sex charges.
And like you said, it's actually a very good move to also protect our diplomatic relations with New Zealand.
I mean, this kind of sensitive issue, especially involving diplomats, can cause a lot of harm to the whole country.
That's right. And I have a little information here. Apparently, the diplomats, they function under this article under the Vienna Convention, and the diplomatic immunity is supposed to be an institution developed to allow for maintenance of government relations, including during periods of difficulties or even armed conflict. And these diplomats are expected to obey the regulations governing their behavior, and they will suffer strict internal consequences if they mess with the local laws. And in many nations, a professional diplomat's career may also be compromised if they disobey the local authorities and cause serious embarrassment for the country.
Well, when I was an IR student, I learned about this immunity for diplomats, but I also realized that it is a privilege not to be abused in a way that, I mean, we have to realize that not every country have a set of rules that is just and fair. Sometimes they have really harsh punishment for something that is something that is
That's
really like
quite trivial.
yeah, trivial,
Mm.
to the standard of human rights. And sometimes, diplomats make certain decision that is regrettable, but at the same time, it should not be abused. So in
Mhm.
the case of New Zealand, in the case of this guy, he's a second warrant officer, Muhammad Rizalman Ismail.
Mhm.
He's not in a situation where he's in a difficulty, and he's not in a third world country also. He's not in a situation where human rights abuses is rampant. He's in a
Mhm.
situation where he was the one committing the crime and the one
That's right.
violating the human rights of that person who were being raped by him.
And apart from the sexual assault, he was also charged with some burglary attempts a few months back. So I think that also kind of really made the New Zealand government unhappy because
Mhm.
it's not just one charge, it's more than one. And
That goes back to the question that how do they actually choose our diplomats? I mean, seriously.
well, I'm pretty sure they choose them very carefully, but there are times when people don't always show their true colors.
Actually, I mean, from my understanding of for every diplomats in Malaysia, they have to go through this thing called PTD.
Mm-hmm.
Is a foreign officer. It's like the SAT for it's like the SAT for to be in the
Okay,
diplomat
okay.
to be part of the diplomatic service. So everyone has to take it. So either you are being chosen to be part of the elites of diplomats, or you will
Mm-hmm.
be served in any of the government departments and agency, and also
Mm-hmm.
ministries. So the 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 chosen of candidate is actually very stringent in a way. They have to test your IQ, your EQ, your physical ability, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's also people who claim that, I mean, people from the previous generation who claim that somehow the way that PTD is being chosen has become less and less stringent, and more towards like, are you against the government or you are not?
Yeah, I guess that's something that is also rampant in this country where they make that kind of a decision based on whether you're with the government or against the government. And probably you're right. Maybe they're being too flexible with the PTD right now. And
I mean, I get insider information
Mhm.
that the the special officer, I mean the special branch,
Mhm.
which is the Malaysian version of the M16, I guess. I mean, the Malaysian version of the James Bond elitist
Oh,
squad,
okay.
or the
Like a
CIA,
secret service.
the Secret Service.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, they actually go through all your personal data, but I'm just quite curious, if they go through all your personal data,
Mhm.
they should have known that you have a record history of criminal activities, right?
But he probably, I mean, like in my opinion, I think just because you have like an high EQ, high IQ, and
Mm.
and you ace your test, that is not an indication that you don't have an attitude problem or that you won't misbehave. When we place you in another country. So maybe that's one aspect that they could probably work on and add on to their exams to
Mm-hmm.
probably uh, test the integrity of the person. Although that is quite difficult to do to
Yeah.
go to that extent. But
But to be fair, I mean,
mm,
I don't think that all diplomats are that bad, because I
mm-hmm,
mean, I went to embassies in a few countries in
mm-hmm.
Southeast Asia, and they were really really nice. I mean, they were professional. They were really show. I mean, they really make me proud as a
Mm-hmm.
Malaysian, the way they function themselves outside
Okay.
of the country. But I guess this is like an exception. It could be.
Yeah, I hope that he receives a fair and just trial in New Zealand and probably receive a punishment that is, just that fits the crime.
Yeah, that's true. That fits the crime. So the next one, sales of repellent and anti-mosquito products on the rise. Well, which country
Okay.
are we going? Is
We
this?
are still talking about Malaysia
Oh,
actually.
oh, really?
And
I
I
didn't know
know
about
that
it.
I know you're laughing because it says repellents and mosquito products, but this is also another important thing that's happening with this
Mm.
country where dengue is actually on the rise again. and it seems that it has increased by nearly 200%
Oh wow.
compared to last year. And
You're talking about the sales or the dengue?
I'm talking about dengue cases. Yeah, I'm not talking about the sales. The sales is just an indication actually.
Mm.
But yeah,
It's like a season, right? I mean, every year there's always a couple of months where the dengue is on the rise, and then it goes down again, and then it's on the rise again, and it
I
it
think
goes
probably
down
back
again.
then it was like that, but for the last couple of years, like throughout the whole year, I hear people getting admitted into the hospital.
Mhm.
You know, the moment someone is down with a fever, they start freaking out now, like, you know, could it be dengue? Am I gonna be hospitalized, you know, admitted and all?
Mhm.
So this is another thing that's been going on for a very, very long time, and we have yet to find an effective way to curb this problem.
Yeah, and mind you, dengue is not a very. It's not like a like fever
Mm-hmm.
sort of um disease, or what do you call it, illness.
Uh-huh.
It's actually deadly. In fact, Johor has recorded 15 dengue related deaths in the first 6 months of this year.
I think that's a very huge number.
Can you imagine the first 6 months? It's not like the whole year. Even if the whole year, 15 deaths is a lot.
That's, I think, more than probably like an average of 2 deaths every month
Yeah.
if it's just in the last 6 months.
Mhm.
And that is a very serious issue. And also it seems that the dengue cases increased by 52% from 1,660 in the first 6 months of last year to 2,524 this year.
Mhm.
And that is a huge leap of number, I think. And uh, why do you think that this has been going on for so long, and we have yet to still come up with ways to
Actually,
probably
I have very little idea about this as well. I mean, in African countries, usually the biggest illness or disease will be malaria, and actually they managed to curb it in some countries as well, by having a proper conduct, proper hygiene procedure in terms of carrying out their daily lives and keeping the environment clean and all that. So, but in terms of dengue, I don't think they have find like the solution or even the cure for it. So in a way, like I still remember my brother got dengue at one point.
Have you gotten dengue?
I haven't
Okay.
before, but my older brother got it before, and we thought that they were curing him, but actually they were just trying to increase his immune system to fight the whatever dengue symptom there
Okay.
is, but they still have no cure for like a clear cure for it.
And I guess like there has been a lot of advertisements on TV, you know, teaching people how to clean out like stagnant waters from their tires, from their flower pots, and other whatever other things that could also retain water in that sense, especially when it starts raining a lot, and that's when the water gets retained. And I think that's also when we tend to see a rise in dengue cases.
You know, when I was younger, I noticed there's a lot of PSA. Public service announcements.
That's true.
And
When I was
enjoy
younger
all
as
this.
well.
I enjoy all the PSA. I mean, PSA about dengue, PSA about sports, about I think almost everything in life, and I think it's really good. But nowadays, I seldom see PSA.
I think even the government have just probably grown out of it. Like, this is dengue, you guys know how to deal with it. Like, we've
Yeah.
already given you enough information.
I'm voting. I mean, I will support the government to bring back all the PSA.
Yeah, definitely.
In all the TVs, and hopefully in the internet as well, if they want to penetrate into the new media.
And I think back in school also, our teacher used to teach us how to draw a mosquito, just so we can identify an Aedes mosquito when we see one. Did you have to do that?
I'm sorry, I'm not from your generation. We don't have to
I don't know,
draw a
probably,
mosquito.
probably your teacher had different ways to do it. I don't know.
Well, I guess during my time, during my time, we don't really talk about dengue that much. Although I think at one point that we were being taught by the teacher about keeping the environment clean in a way, like what you said earlier,
Right.
like make sure there's no static water and all that.
Okay.
So our last news today, what is it, Gowri?
I think we'll talk about the KL Singapore High Speed Rail, and there have been a lot of proposals to stop this project. And So the prospect of dinner in Kuala Lumpur's Jalan Alo supper in Malacca's Jonker Street and a return to Singapore before clubbing hours is looking more likely actually. It seems that they are still going ahead with the plan to come up with this planned high-speed rail HSR link between KL and Singapore.
Is it similar to the one in China, the high-speed rail?
I'm not too sure because that is like a different concept altogether. I think it's with the magnetic levitation and all, and this is probably driven by electricity. But it seems that passengers will actually take 2.5 hours to go to KL. I mean, from KL to Singapore, because this includes time for waiting, for transfers, for immigration clearance.
I think it is probably similar to the one in China. I wish I wrote it before. I think I mentioned before that it took me 8 hours to go from the southern part of China, which is Guangzhou, all the way to Beijing. And in the previous time, which I rode on the normal train, it took me 23 hours.
Right.
So it cut down
Are
by...
you talking about the bullet train?
Yeah, the high-speed rail.
Okay,
I think it's the same thing as well.
Because there's one in Shanghai as well, and I think that's the one with the magnetic levitation. And yeah, I think at first it took me like more than 1 hour to get from the airport to my hotel. But on the way back, I took the train, and it only took me like 15 minutes. And yeah, I guess that cut the time.
Well, I do look
into
forward
half.
for it, but I guess my concern is the rise of price hike, you know. Whenever there's a lot of people from other countries that can easily access that a certain area, definitely the area will become another high price, high cost area.
And also, of course, a lot of people are concerned about the amount of money that the government is going to put into this project, into making it happen, because we know how things work, how it starts out with one amount and then it goes into so many different pockets because so many people are trying to make money out of this.
And a lot of people like think, oh, the civil society is against development and all that. But I think the idea is not. The idea is great. I mean, I think all civil society wants certain amount of development and progress. But I think what people, the general public and civil society is concerned is how are you going to implement it? How you are going to keep this clean?
Because like what you said, when they spend that amount of money, eventually we're gonna have to pay for it. So that goes back to what you said about the price hikes and all that. It's like a vicious cycle. Yeah, we can't run away from it.
That's true. Anyway, that's all for today. For our news commentary, we will return back with an interesting discussion about the racial harmony in this country via the Harmony Act.
Yeah, and we're also going to be analyzing the Seditious Act along with it. So I will sign off for now. But before that, don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter.
And also subscribe us at durianasian at gmail.com. Also, don't forget to listen to us live at durianasian.com or
you can also download the TuneIn app and listen to us on your smartphone.
Okay, stay tuned.